Um, well, John and Christy Bertishaw are here. A lot of folks know them already. John, let's just start talking about the crosses. Can we do that? Is that cool?
Let's do it. So these crosses, like the one that I'm wearing, is a big part of our ministry with the Fort Church. We started getting them and passing them out to our friends that come to the Fort Church, our friends that come to Connections, all of our friends in recovery, and I actually give them out to a lot of the rehabs in Columbus and people that are new to church and new to God. And it's just a big ministry. Like, it's so important for these people to have a cross. You know, when I was in my addiction in the streets, I wore a cross like this through all of it. And the day that I got to the rehab, it broke. And I felt like that was God's way of telling me, I carried you till today, to get you to the point of being in recovery and growing closer to God. Yeah. And so it's always been important to me. And we love these crosses. It's a big part of the ministry here at the Fort Church and in recovery.
Yeah, a lot of people are wearing them on Sunday mornings. So I see a ton of folks, and I know they're getting them from you. So the importance of that for somebody, and when you give it to somebody, tell me, maybe share a couple of stories of some of the things that people have relayed to you about the importance of it.
Sure. So I keep them in the trunk of my car at all times, and I break them out after church, before church, at Connections, just all over town. I break them out and give them to folks. And I always pray for them when I give it to them. I pray the same prayer. I say, God, protect us while we're wearing these cross necklaces, God, and let us remind us that you're with us every time we see them. And God, we thank you for being our friend. Amen. I say the same prayer with everybody every time, and I know God protects us while I'm wearing them, and it's like representing God as we go. And I usually give an extra one to somebody if they'll ask, or two to give to a mom or a friend or a family member. Yeah. And so it's such a blessing, and I know God really does live up to the prayer and protect us while we're wearing them. Yeah. And so it's a lot of fun, and I'm thankful that is part of the Fort Church ministry. Yeah.
When I asked you think about something we can do for outreach, and just think about some ways we can spend some money just to do more outreach. That was the first idea you threw at me, and I don't know. Do you know how many you've given out at this point?
Oh, it's thousands.
I mean, it's
thousands.
It's we just keep ordering them.
We get 200 at a time.
I think the last couple times we might have got 400, didn't we?
I think we got 200.
Oh, did we? Okay,
it's 200 in a box. And they go pretty quick, and they go pretty quick, and so we've been doing that for I guess a year now, maybe, or more, probably. I think it's been more than a year that we've been giving out the crosses, but you see them everywhere. Yeah. And some people we went and did outreach with the Extreme Tour when they came into town and did the concert and everything. Right. And so we went out on the bridge on 14th Street, walk across bridge, and I seen a friend of mine out there, and she was homeless again, and so she had been through the Grace House prior to that, and she was coming to the Fort Church. My dad was picking her up for the Fort Church on Sunday. She was doing really well. She was back out there homeless, and when the Extreme Tour went on the bridge, I went and said hello to her, and so she had her cross necklace was old and beat up and dirty, but she was still wearing it. Yeah. So I gave her a new one, and I gave her a new shiny one because you could tell that she had been homeless for quite a while with it. And so she said that meant so much to her. She was so thankful to get a new one, and she was like, as soon as I seen her and gave her a hug, she said, "I'm still got my necklace, John." I said, "Well, God's still with you." Yeah. Yep.
So, John, you obviously have a passion for, we call it outreach, but I always see, when I think about how it talks about people gifted by the Spirit for certain ministries, I see you as gifted in evangelism. Some people it's just amazing how other people are drawn to them, and when they invite, the people accept. When sometimes it seems like other people are just begging and pleading, and some people are just gifted by the Holy Spirit to do that. Do you feel that way?
That's my favorite thing, outreach. Yeah. It comes natural for me. It's easy. I have a passion for it, just all day, every day, kind of like always doing outreach and trying to reach out to people that need the help the most. And
John gets so excited talking to people about God. Like it's just, he lights up and he's like, let me tell you about the fort. Let me tell you about this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's God really helped me rock this mohawk, you know, and really, because it's like an icebreaker.
God and Christy help you rock that mohawk.
Yes, she does. I am OC Mohawk. She does an excellent job. Yes, and I have to give a shout out to my friend Tiffany that I go to her house and she cuts it every week for me to keep it on point.
But y'all really don't know. It's pretty bad. He gets in the mirror and he has another mirror and he checks it and he'll say, no, you got a spot right here. So I go in the bathroom. This is 3 or 4 times in the morning. Going, no, there's a gap right there. He's so
This is
funny
good.
about
This is
the
good
mohawk.
bonding for you two,
Yeah,
right?
It is. It is. Look at the morning time spent together. Make sure my mohawk is A1. You know, but I get compliments on it everywhere I go. And whenever I'm just dealing with people, like leaving a store and I say, you know, have a blessed day, you know, or I go above and beyond to open the door to somebody just to show the love of Jesus or kindness. People are kind of caught off guard when they see my mohawk. You know, it kind of catches them by surprise. And when I talk to people about God, it really, I think it just kind of like knocks walls down. That God-given thing that I love to do the outreach and talk to people about God, invite them to church, invite them to connections, invite them to, you know, we get together with big groups of people in recovery lately. You know, it's been a lot of fun. It's like a big A-team that God has brought together here in Columbus. And my mohawk, God helps me, you know, with through my mohawk, you know.
It's funny
It's cool to say that was the truth, you know. I know God had me rocking the mohawk, and and I'll probably be rocking it till I'm a senior citizen, you know.
Yeah, I kind of you sort of forget about you. It's just your head. That's the way it is. Yeah. You forget that nobody else in the world wears a mohawk.
Yeah. Well, we forget, and Christy's like, "Why are they staring at us?" And then she'll remember. She'll be like, "Oh, they're staring at John.
Looking at John.
You know,
They're not looking at me."
Yeah. Sometimes people will say something with that guy was talking to me, or that guy invited me. I said, well, which guy? The guy with the mohawk. The guy with the mohawk. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, what is it? What is the motivation in you to reach out to tell other people about Jesus? What is, you know, you said you're passionate about it, but do you know what's behind that?
I think a big part of it is how low that I have been in my life. Between, you know, I'm always telling people this. So I've been locked up a dozen times. You know, I've done some time in prison, went to 4 different rehabs, OD'd a couple times, and what God's done in my life, I want that for other people. You know. And something that I've been doing is praying for purpose. Like, God, keep pushing me into my purpose and calling. You know, I know that God's got me in line with my person, and my calling, with connections in the Fort Church and outreach and everything like that. But I'm still praying for that regular. Like, keep pushing me and keep me in my calling and in my purpose, and I want to keep growing, and you know. And so, yeah, some of it's because what God's done in my life and what God's done in so many of my friends' lives. And he blessed me with, like, the best wife ever, you know, and great family. And me and Christy, we're just so blessed with our marriage. You know, we're so, you know, most people know, you know, we met in rehab. We started from the bottom. When I was homeless before I went in, and I had 2 pair of jeans, 2 T-shirts, and 1 pair of shoes, and that's all I owned. And when I met Christy, I had 3 weeks clean at that time. And she had no driver's license. We had no car. We were on foot. She had a little bit of clothes. I owned a little bit of clothes. That was it. She was in drug court. We were behind tons in child support with both of us. Like, everything was stacked against us. You know, we started at the very, very bottom together, and we kept God first from the very start of it. And so, we're so blessed to have our family in each other, and we're blessed to be a part of the Fort Church. The Fort Church is so much fun. It is. It's a very cool church. It's definitely come as you are, and everybody knows that. And so we're happy to be a part of the Fort Church, and we're blessed to have our family and everywhere God's taken us. And so a lot of it's because of how low I've been, and I see other people in that position, and a lot of it is because my mom prayed for me my whole life, you know. And so my dad was a big part of my life, and Mom, you know, I was raised in church. And so I have a background from church growing up, you know. So I came through youth group in Sunday school as a kid, and so at First Baptist Church, and also at in Phoenix City, and also at my mom's church was Assembly of God Church, First Assembly on 280. And so I come from a background of being really wild and have a relationship with God. And so now, I had a negative this big in my life from all the drama and the craziness. I didn't see my kids but a few times a year, you know. And my negative was this big, but God came behind it and put a line down the middle of it and made it a huge positive, and pulled all that negativity in my life He's using now. And Romans 8:28 is evident that all things work together like that.
Very cool, very cool. Well, for you guys as a family, the passion for reaching those who are in need of the gospel, in need of not just the gospel, but just in need, right? It crosses over between both of you. And what I see in y'all's lives is that this effort to help people meet Jesus, you're also helping them with everything else in their life. I mean, you guys, it's amazing to me just how much you guys actually get involved in other people's lives. It gets messy, right?
It does.
It does.
It does.
But sometimes we have to remind ourselves the sermon that you spoke on about, sometimes it's not always pretty helping people. And if it is, then we might not really be doing that much helping people if it's not messy sometimes. Yeah. And so me and John, we have to remind ourselves, like, we might not really want to, I don't want to say want to help this person, but like, this is hard. Like, they've got a lot going on, but it's so worth it when you see their life change. Yeah. That it's okay to get messy sometimes. Yeah.
The interesting thing, for me in the last, it's only the last couple of years, but it's been people come to me and they go like, "Hey, how do I get in touch with John and Christy? I need some help." I'm like, "Yeah, let me get you in touch." Usually it's people come to me and, me and my Christy, like, I need some help. And they go, "Hey, how do I get in touch with that guy with the mall?"
So definitely get my number out to anybody anytime. But tell them to text me. My phone rings 10,000 times a day, and usually I can go through my text and get back,
Yeah.
And we have so many allies too, with our friends at the fort. Like, if we can't figure something out, there's somebody we can call that can help. If this person can't get to church, hey, we got somebody that can help get you to church. Or trying to find somebody a home. Yeah. Hey, Pastor Matt, can you help us? I mean, we don't do like all of it at all. But
y'all do a lot.
We have a network of people that God has brought together in Columbus, and I think it's different than anything that's ever gone on. When God is on the move, it's like so real. Yeah. I think that what's going on for our size of city is very abnormal. I think there's a lot of help in people that have come together. Yeah. That God really is doing a movement in Columbus and has been for a while. And so there's just so many of us. It's Barney and Ginger and Jeff and Davina and me and Christy and Jeff. And I mean, I could just go on. Stephen, Big BJ, BJ's doing a lot of ministry in Columbus, reaching out to people. And so there's just, I could go on a long time about how many people God has brought together with the A-team on getting together and helping people, and everybody going to work in ministries together. Safe House, Grace House, Freedom House, Connections. Yeah. Yeah, that's
a cool thing, is to make the connections between all these different resources that are there, and because we talked about this maybe before we started, but as for all the good stories we have, we got 10 times more stories of folks who didn't. Their first time through rehab was not their last time, right? So somebody goes through a program, and they're very likely you're going to need another program, right? Yeah. And so it's so good. For us to have a knowledge base that here are the different people who are doing things in town, because for so long I was like, I just knew about this one, right? And I think people see these as different islands, and now I feel like just because I'm becoming more aware of a lot of them, that I see all these. There's lots of resources.
Lots of resources in Columbus.
Lots of resources for people when you get ready for help. There's tons of help for you. And and just because you might have messed up at this place, these folks are, willing to give you a shot there, and if not there, we'll help you find somewhere else, or if we got to ship you somewhere in Alabama or what,
to Aniston,
whatever,
Center of Hope,
yeah.
Center of Hope's great. We've had a lot of our friends go up there doing excellent at Center of Hope.
Man, Vernon got up. Vernon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vernon got up the other night and at Monday night at the outreach over here, and started speaking, sharing a little bit about you had to. They say you had to go sit down for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He had to go a little bit of jail time for something that he had to take care of from his past. Right.
Yeah. I can't remember if he said that or somebody. He had to go sit down for a minute.
Yes.
But yeah. So, man, he spoke, and it was just so powerful. I mean, I just. And maybe sometimes it's more powerful just because you love the person, and you know him. But he was so passionate and just so thankful for where God has him in his life and where he's on the way to, and it was just it was really good. I can't remember what I was saying before I got so
Vernon. I remember the day he came to the Fort Church, and so he was one of my people on my list from my past in addiction that I needed to apologize to about stuff. And I had been looking for him. I thought one day he's going to run across Vernon. Yeah. And I had sold him a phone, and he gave me some meth for a phone. Yeah. And the phone didn't work right. Okay. So the person that gave it to me told me it worked, but I should have checked. I didn't check it on it. I got it from. So he had looked for me for a little while or whatever, and we had issues about it, and I didn't see him the whole time, but until he came in the Fort Church that day. Yeah. And me and Ronnie walked up to him, and you know how Ronnie is, like, let's go to rehab right now. You know, right? He was like, hey, I need help, and I need to go to somewhere to get help. And Ronnie said, how about Center of Hope? And so me and Ronnie worked together right then with him. Yeah. And where he come from that day, I remember when he came on his first pass back to the Fort Church, I was shocked by, like, how just humble and kind and like how much the change that happened in Vernon. So seeing what Vernon has done is really cool to see.
I love that dude. So did you make amends on the cell phone?
We did. Okay. Immediately he said, John, I'm not worried about that phone, man. I said, well, I was worried about it. I said, it was one of the things that I felt like with my friends from the streets that I needed to correct, Yeah. And so, but he was like the last one. I had a little list of people that whatever, and he was the last one that I went to make amends with. So yeah, and seeing what he's doing is powerful and it's strong, and it's definitely he's part of the A team I was talking about.
Yeah. When we talk about the people that we get an opportunity to reach out to, and the messy ness of it. One of the things that we see folks on the street is not just addiction, but also mental illness, which is your area, right? Tell folks what you do and what you're doing now.
So I work with Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network. We are peers, I live with my own mental health challenge and with anxiety and depression, and it used to run everything I did in life. There's been times I couldn't leave the house. I was so anxious. I mean, just crippling fear sometimes. And so now I'm a certified peer specialist, mental health, and I work with other peers with my lived experience in going back into the community from a hospital and living an independent life of their choosing. Mm-hmm. So it kind of falls in line with some of the people. And I actually just got a promotion. I am
Praise God.
Yes,
Praise God.
God is so
Congratulations.
good. Thank you. And I'm now the director of the Peer Mentoring Project.
Yeah.
Nice. Over the state of Georgia.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm super excited. I work with amazing
Look who you're
people.
married to.
She's the director. My wife is the director now. We've been like high-fiving about her. She's the director. She's worked hard. She's been there 5 years, and she has really gave her heart to her job and her career. She really cares, and she does it with love. Yeah.
Did schooling do part of that, right? Did school do part of that?
Yeah, I'm still doing school.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a junior at CSU.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It feels like it'll never end, but it will at some point. But it has, whether it be mental health or addiction, having that lived experience gives us the opportunity to tell people that we know what they're going through, or let me show you what helped me, and try and steer them in the right direction with, living the life that they choose for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it certainly helps just being able to accept and understand and be around. So, when you understand the challenges that they're facing, rather than, because some of these folks are just easily dismissible. Like if you don't want to get dirty, like if you don't want to get involved, these are, a lot of folks are easy to dismiss because they're making bad choices or they're just difficult to be around, maybe because of their mental health issues, and it just can be very easy for me. I'll just stay over here, and stay away from the mess, because when you enter in, you're at least invested for a little more time with some folks, because their conversation's going to last a little longer.
Yes.
How you doing? And it's not fine, right?
Yes.
So,
It can be challenging and a handful.
Yeah.
And, I feel like with a lot of people, where you're talking about with us, like reaching all the way into their lives with stuff, and you might get a little dirty. Bertha and Ken, from them when they were living in an abandoned building out on Beachy Drive, and they were smoking crack, and they were in a very dangerous spot living. And so I ended up hanging out with them, inviting them to church, and they came to church. And now every time I see her, she always thanks me, but I mean, it's such a blessing to see how good she's doing. I ended up walking her down the aisle, at her wedding. Yeah. And that was really cool. And so every time I see her, we always hug. And she's like, John, thank you, I love you. And I'm like, you just don't know how much you changed my life, on seeing coming from the very bottom like that, where they were at, until they're just so blessed now and doing so good and living for the Lord and everything.
You seen Ken lately?
It's been a little while, yeah. He came by my work a couple months ago. He's still selling cars. He at Auto Nation.
Okay.
Yeah, he sells cars at Auto Nation.
He was at Sun's last time I saw him. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was funny. I thought we pulled up in there. I said, Russ, I think I know that dude. and we get out. He's on the phone. I hear, Pastor.
Yeah.
So, it's great to see. It's messy in a moment, but the payoff, boy, can be really, really amazing. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like God guides me to people that are at the bottom sometimes, and puts them in my life through a few months where we're really close and we spend a lot of time together. It's kind of like I hold their hand for a minute, come on, we're gonna do this together, and because I've been at the very bottom where I had completely given up, I had given up on myself. I didn't have I didn't think I could do it anymore. I was so deep in addiction, and I had relapsed so many times. I went to 4 different rehabs. I graduated 3 out of 4, so I finished 3 of the 4 of them. Yeah. And so I really was just so at the bottom. So I know what that feels like. And something, you need encouragement from somebody, and you need, in that first part, you need somebody to take you under their wing, and I can feel it when God does it, because me and that person always have good chemistry usually, and it's easy at that time. It's like our personalities fit good, my friend Tony, Tony Taylor, he is doing so good, and it's a blessing for both of us, with our friendship, because we went to school. He knows how wild I was. I know how wild
Tony
he was.
with hat.
Tony Taylor. He's rocking the beard and stuff.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Tony Taylor. He was just a couple months ago. He was at the very bottom. He had gotten out of jail, and he was living at a place with some friends. Then they were smoking meth in front of him every day, and it was a little apartment in a garage where he couldn't live. It was all in one room, and they were over there making music all night long and stuff. And he hung in there for like a month. But he reached out to me right when he got out of jail. And he didn't have any clothes. He had 1 T-shirt and 1 pants, and that was it. And he was really at the bottom. But everything worked out, where I was going to pick him up to hang out with me every day at Connections. I go pick him up. And so now
he comes to church every Sunday.
No, he loves it. He loves it. He is official member of the Fort Church, you know. And so he's only been out of jail, what, 2.5 months on it? It hadn't been very long.
Yeah.
And now he's doing so good. He works for Able Electric Ministries.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, he works for Able Electric now, and
Saving up money for a
saving
car,
up money. We helped him
in a
get
nice
into like an
apartment.
apartment, you know,
Nice.
to like through a New Horizon apartment for him to get into, and he
That's so awesome.
he is he's doing great. He's thriving, and like Tony's always thanking me, but I'm always promising it's an equal exchange. It really is. You know, he's helping me just as much as that God has used me to help him. God used him to help me in the same way. It's like,
Yeah, and I've tried to describe for folks, you know, in ministry as a pastor, minister, is sometimes when families are going through certain things, you know, usually hard things, and you kind of jump in and you're part of their family for a little while, for you know, for a week, for 2 weeks, and then and you get to walk real closely with them during that time, and there's a lot of benefit. I find myself, you know, there's the moments where I love these, but you know, you really fall in love with them and find a closeness with them, and there is a blessing to it, you know. It's you know, we keep joking or talking about the messiness or the effort or the emotional energy that's put in these things, but God really does, He really does feed our soul to these things, because it's what we were made to do, right? It's what we were created to do, to serve and help one another like Jesus did, and so there is fulfillment in it for real.
And it's cool too, like y'all are doing the outreach, but also like you're talking about, like you have this team of people that you have here supporting you. But a lot of those people, all those names, those are people who you brought to the church and have invested in their lives. And you're not just doing outreach, you're also doing discipleship. And so then you're also creating more outreach, and it's growing and it's growing, and that's how the Fort Church grows. At the same time, you're also sharing the same exact feeling and those that feeling you get, like he was just talking about, that God gives you from listening to those stories and seeing the change in people's lives. You're also sharing that too. And so it's just like, that's why the Fort Church explodes like it does. And like you're saying, God's on the move. It's because it's growing, and it starts, people don't think, but it starts so small, just like with that little bit of outreach, just reaching out to somebody, and then they're a part of your team, and they're a part of your team, and they reach out to more people. It's incredible.
It is.
it's like the butterfly effect going on. And it's fun being a part of it too. It is fun, and there's a lot at stake. You know, we lost 4 friends that OD'd and died in 11 days. It was like less than 2 weeks. 4 of them, 3 of them in Columbus, and one of my friends that used to live in Columbus, she passed. And within 11 days, 4 friends OD'd. It's just it's all the time. Like any day now, we're going to hear it. The fentanyl is taking out everybody. The fentanyl and heroin, they're putting fentanyl in the meth, they're putting it in weed. I mean, they're putting it in. A kid died from a gummy at school, a fentanyl gummy at school, you know, we seen on the news. It's just, there's so much at stake. There's lives at stake. We are at war here with the addiction, because it used to, with drugs, what would happen is you would lose everything. You lose your house, your car, your family, your wife. You go to jail. You lose your freedom. Now
But
you just
not
lose your
usually
life.
Yeah.
No. For over a 15-year period, I had 1 friend die in 15 years. And this year we've had at least 12, 15. I mean, it's just
outrageous.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's been it's unusual. You know, I think I've told you before. I mean, I can't imagine unless you're like in an active war zone. I mean, the amount of friends, peers. You know, we're not talking about old people, right? We're talking about peers your age, younger.
That's right.
Who are losing their lives on a regular basis. You know, I felt like for a while there, it was every week we were losing somebody who had been to church here, connected church here. And it was like, these are not. You know, I'm used to burying senior, you know, like people in their 80s.
Yes.
You know, and we've done so many funerals for folks who are, you know, didn't really have this was their only sort of connection to church and trying to serve their families. And it's just so heartbreaking. So yeah, you're right. It does put a sense of urgency on it, you know, to try and get as many people away from that danger. As quickly as possible.
Addiction is very dangerous now.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be dangerous other than, I mean, you losing everything. You know, you might well get shot or something, but you know that's now that you don't even think about getting shot because everybody's just dying from the drugs. You know, over and over and over. And so yeah, there's a lot at stake, and we definitely are at war. You know, God is on the move, and we are at war with the drugs in here in Columbus and across the country. Yeah. That's a big motivator too, you know, when you have a lot of, it's sad to say this, but I've gotten used to my friends passing. It used to be like huge shock, like wow, and now it's like another one. You know, we just went and visited a friend of ours in Birmingham, and we went up there for Ronnie's wedding, and a friend of mine that had went through the ministry that up there came by and visited us. She's one of my close friends.
She's been to, every time she came to Columbus,
she came to the Fort Church every time she's come to visit in Columbus, and she passed like just recently. She was one of my really close friends. She gave me a little like throw that goes over the backside of a couch or whatever. And it's the Lord's Supper, and it actually matches our couch perfect. And so she gave me that about 3 weeks before she passed. When we went out and visited her, and then shortly after we visited her at Ronnie's, and she passed. And so I always look at that and remember her. And so I have my friends that all have died. I leave their phone number in my phone. You know, and whenever I'm scrolling through, sometimes I see it and I'm like, dang, that's another friend, another friend, another friend. And when I went to visit the Center of Hope, there's a bunch of crosses up in it's like right behind where the guys live at, right there on a little hill. It's real pretty. There's a bunch of wooden crosses. And the guy said, you know what that is? And I said, what is it? He said, that's all the people that came to this rehab and that have died, OD and died. That's all the people. There's a lot of them. It was like a whole hill of them. Yep.
How do you, or how does the Lord minister to you when you think on those things, when you, because that hurts.
It hurts and it's motivating, you know. It is like we're in Afghanistan fighting or something, you know what I'm saying? Really, I mean, it's like this is Vietnam or something. Like lives are being lost everywhere. You know, it's just like it's heartbreaking and then it's motivating at the same time. You know, because I love for my other friends that are still struggling, and the love for my friends that have lost their life, you know, that I carry on the torch, you know, trying to help people.
So what does the Lord use to encourage your heart and keep you, you know, strong when it's hard?
Christy.
Yeah.
She's such a blessing, you know. She always does a little Bible time, you know, and spends her time reading. We pray at night together and everything. And right when I need it, God always sends me a friend that's come along that I like, Joseph Gendrell, that we seen Joseph at church, cool. And that was those things right there. When I have friends that have breakthroughs and I see them just on the climb like this, and Stephen is doing so good, I'm so proud of him, you know, and him and Helen and their family. You know, that's what really keeps me going, is God showing me all the success that's going on. So from some of the people that pass, you know, and that gives me a little bit of anger and upset, you know, and it motivates me some, you know, and then seeing the people that are doing so good that have come from similar paths like I have.
How about you, Christy?
It's a hard pill to swallow, you know, losing so many people. But I'm not copying him, but John too for me, because you know, I see Jesus through John. You know, he is so selfless and just cares about our family. You know, and I know that he's seeking God every day, and you know, it motivates me to seek God every day. You know. I think that the life that we've built, you know, like with each other and putting God before everything else, and then the family that we have at the fort, you know, this is a huge thing that God uses for us to help keep us strong, you know? Yeah. And I think whenever I feel like my cup is empty, you know, and I reach out to God, and he either sends somebody or, you know, something to help fill me back up. Yeah. You know, and he definitely uses John to strengthen our family and to make sure that, my husband prays over me, and I mean, if I have a headache, I can call and he'll pray with me, you know, and it's just, God uses so many, even the little things to help fill me back up.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I know He uses you guys to encourage me on a weekly basis. I love y'all. I really do. I'm so thankful to serve alongside of you guys because I really do feel like that. I feel like we're sometimes I feel like I'm just trying to catch up with you guys. But I'm so thankful for the way that you love our people and care for them and are able to point out to me when needs are there, and we can try and help meet those. And so love you guys. Appreciate y'all.
We love y'all, Sam. We love y'all. We love the Fort Church. We are so blessed to be a part of the Fort Church. Every night we pray out loud in bed beside each other, and I thank you for the Fort Church as part of it. It's like every single night we say that, God, thank you so much for the Fort Church. So yeah, we love it, and we love being a part of it, and we're looking forward to seeing what God's going to keep using us all to do. And Pastor Matt, I'm always bragging on you to everybody. I'm like, hey, you need to come check out Fort Church. Because Pastor Matt is down to earth, man. He's like, he's on your level. I said he's the people's type pastor. I said he really cares. He really wants to get to know you.
Yes, you didn't come from like the background that we came from, and you like adapted and like learned about it. You really took the time to like get to know the things that people in this community were struggling with. Whether it be addiction or homelessness or whatever it might be, you figured it out and you loved us even though we were different.
So, I don't know that I figured anything out. I think it's just I think we just try and love each other.
So when Pastor Matt first came to the Fort Church, he came to one of our redemption groups.
Yes.
And Blake Russell and Sam Coulter was like, "Hey, Birdshaw, he's the wildest one," is what they said to Pastor Matt. They said, "Out of all of us, he's the wildest one." Yeah. And so right after that, Pastor Matt asked me if I wanted to go eat lunch with him, and I said, "Okay, yeah, sure." So I went and ate lunch with him and said, "Tell me about you." And I was like, well, I used to blow up bombs across the whole town. I had stuff in the trunk of my car. I was climbing the water towers and going to jail on the cell towers. I was calling the police on myself, waiting to get there, run from them over and over. And he was like, "Okay, you want to start doing volunteer work at the church?" And I said, "Sure." So that's when he first asked me to start helping out with volunteers.
That's pre-Mohawk.
That was pre-Mohawk. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I thought you were lying about all those stories. You look so clean cut.
Yeah. That's better than I have my normal haircut for a
You're like
while.
you were right out of the Air Force.
Yes.
No visible tattoos. I mean, just clean cut,
Yeah.
John. I thought, this guy's sharp. He's got it together.
Yeah. Then, I remember when I went to my Mohawk, and the first time I seen you with my Mohawk, we were actually bowling, I think, with the youth group or something other. And I was like, "What's up?" Yeah, I walked in with my Mohawk for the first time. But when I met Chris, he had a Mohawk, So I've had long hair through my life, like really long, 4 or 5 times I've grown it past my shoulders, and I've had about 6 or 7 or 8 Mohawks through the years where I go to a Mohawk and then go into a normal haircut.
Mohawk fever, he calls
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I used to get Mohawk fever. But yeah, Pastor Matt, we love you, and we're so thankful that you're our pastor and that you came to the Fort Church.
Yes.
And I'm always telling people, Pastor Matt's progressive. He will go after, like, he's a go-getter. That's why we're in where we're at right now, and that's why we have the 2 and everything that's just going on is from your leadership, and we're so thankful for that.
Well, it's all just trying to hang on, follow God where He's going.
right.
And you lead
That's
like a
right.
no drama church, and that's so cool. Like how you lead that to where it's just no drama. It's all love at the Fort Church, and it's always positive, and it's everybody's welcome, and everybody feels welcome.
Yes.
So we love the Fort Church, and we love y'all.
Awesome. Love you guys. Thank y'all for doing this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.